This is the Ms.FitVegan podcast, episode 378. I want to ask you a question. If you could do your life over again, what would you do differently? And I'm not asking you to say that everything didn't happen for a reason and that you don't have any regrets and that you don't everything needed to happen. That's implied. I want to ask you, what would you do differently if you could? So I'll go first, and then how about you email me or you post on your podcast or your YouTube and send me the link, because I'd really love to know. So me personally, I would find a way to go to college. I hear a lot of people talking about like they met their husbands and wives in college. They met their friends, they have a circle of friends that they've had since college. They learned a lot in college and they had a lot of fun in college. I'm always hearing people, like yesterday I was with a bunch of friends and they were talking about their college experience and how much fun they had and how, much like drugs they did and how much they drank and all these things. And I probably would not have drank or done drugs, but I really regret not finding a way to go to college because even though, I say to you that, well, I dropped out of high school and I never went to college because I felt that I had to take care of my family. But the truth is that I chose to do that. And I was just really, really tired of not having food and being evicted and just bill collectors and my mom screaming all the time. And my mom was a prostitute for a while, and that was really getting to me, especially because it would be in our apartment that she would be working and bringing men in, and it really got to me. So I decided to take control of the situation and drop out of high school and get a job. And so I didn't want her doing that anymore. And she was older too. She had me when she was 40. So she was an older woman doing that, and it really bothered me. And it was really dangerous too. The story she would tell me and my sister, she wasn't like our mom. She was more like our sister. So she would tell us all these things that were absolutely not appropriate for teenagers to know. But anywhom, I could have found a way to go to college. I know it, and I wish I did. Another regret that I have, and I do have a lot of regrets, is that I put my job, once I worked my way up in the world, I got a really good job, I put it first. And I kind of put that over my family, over my sister. And so the state paid for a home nurse, and that was for 8 hours. And then I paid for another nurse for 8 hours. And because I had that money and I was able to do that, I worked very, very long hours, in order to make that money, right? And I remember my sister's last birthday. I was kind of my own boss, even though I worked for a company and I had a CEO and I had bosses, but I was really treating my life like I was my own boss. And so I didn't go into work one day because it was my sister's birthday. So instead of going to work, I went to this pizzeria to get her lots of vegan pizzas and like all this vegan stuff, calzones. And she really loved, this stuff. And I went to go get it for her, donuts, macaroons, etc., right, for her birthday. So I was planning a very elaborate birthday party. I had decorated the night before, and I went out early to get it. I came back in time for her party to start at lunchtime. So, our party started, and it was really just me and her, the nurse, and my mom was not there. But so it was just us three, and we were having a really good time, and I put on her favorite movie in the kitchen, and we're like dancing during the parts. Her favorite movie was the Ninja Turtles, the original TMNT movie, right? So we're putting it on and we're dancing, and she's doing what she can do. She can barely move, but she is really happy, and we're starting to open all the presents and everything. And my boss calls me, and he wanted me to come in for a meeting. And the meeting, I knew it had nothing to do with my department. I was the head of training and development, and the meeting was absolutely not necessary, and I knew it. And I should have told him that I couldn't. I should have told him that I was sick, or that I was, I couldn't really tell him I was taking off because I hadn't officially taken off, like you have to fill out paperwork to take off. Like when you're salary, they expect you to you can't just call out, and my coworkers and my bosses, the investors, they knew that I would never be sick. I'm the healthiest person they've ever met. So I really couldn't say that I was sick, but I guess I could have lied and said that, I could have said it. And then I would have heard forever about, oh, raw vegans get sick too, but I should have lied because I didn't really know what to say. I told him I was working from home that day, but he said he really wanted me to come in for the meeting. And I just knew I didn't need to be at that meeting, but I fucking went. And when I told my sister I had to leave for a few hours to go to the subway, because it was like a 2-hour subway ride there and back, and the meeting was going to be like an hour, she got really upset and she was crying because once I leave, the party's over. And I went, and I really fucking regret it. Because it was her last birthday, but I didn't know. Sorry. Basically, I'm just telling you these stories because I just don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. Please, just put your family first, because the money doesn't matter, and these jobs don't give a fuck about you. And you're gonna quit anyway one day, or you're gonna get fired. But you never know when your family's not gonna be here anymore. So I definitely would have stayed. Anyway, something else that I regret. I really regret I don't know how to say this. I regret not educating myself about men because I didn't know anything. I didn't have any father figures, and I didn't have any brothers, and I've never dated. And so I didn't know that the ways of the world and men. So my first, I guess it wasn't a relationship, but my first encounter, I guess, with a man that liked me was when I was around, guys always liked me, or kids in school, whatever, but I never had time, and I never hung out. I was just going to school, and then I was going home to take care of my sister. And then when I was working, I was just working and going home to take care of my sister. But at one of my more serious jobs, when I was, I think it was 18 or 19, my manager, we worked at Sam Goody, and I was like a brand new employee, and my manager, he liked me, but he was married, or he had a girlfriend or a fiance or something. No, he wasn't married. He had a fiance. So But he liked me, and then we started talking, and I didn't really know he had a girlfriend in the beginning. But then I knew. But then I just thought, he really, really likes me. He doesn't like her. He likes me. And so I started, seeing him and, hanging out before work, after work, making out in the break room before employees got there, after everybody left. And I didn't know. I just didn't know about men. I had no idea that men play women, and they don't mean what they say. I just took everything at face value. I thought that, if a man said that, I love you, I like you, I want to be with you, that I thought he was like, but why would somebody say that if they didn't mean that? Why would somebody say that just to sleep with you? And I didn't sleep with him because I didn't have any experience at all. I was very... we only really, if we hung out, if there was another place where we hung out, like if we hung out at his house or at my house or at, anywhere, we would probably have slept together, but we didn't. We were hanging out in, at the back of the job, like in the break room and in the back of house. And so I really regret not knowing more about men and what they will say just to, make out with a girl or sleep with a girl. I had no idea. And I didn't really learn that until recently, I have to tell you. I didn't know anything about men. Like I said, I didn't have a brother or an uncle or a father or a cousin to teach me about the ways of men. So, ladies, if you are like me, and you didn't have a father, and maybe you did have a father, but he just didn't teach you about the ways of some men, I would recommend someone named Tony Gaskins. He has become a friend of mine and a client, and he's also an amazing YouTuber. Well, he's not a YouTuber. He's a relationship coach, and he's also on YouTube. And I would recommend you check him out, Tony Gaskins. And he will really help you a lot because he's helped me a lot. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that there was a difference. There was two types of men in the world, grown men and grown boys. And grown boys will say anything, okay, to sleep with you. And grown boys are going to take advantage of you, use you, take money from you, ask to borrow money. And it has nothing to do with love. They will say anything to get what they want, what they need. And, it takes two people to be in a toxic relationship. I didn't know that another regret of mine is that I stayed in a toxic relationship for 7 years, and I didn't understand that it was 50% my fault. I thought it was 100% his fault, that he was being so mean to me and yelling at me and using me and living in my house rent-free, and I was paying for his bills and his clothes and his food, and I was paying for everything, and I got him a job, and I didn't understand that he was using me. I thought that was love. Like, love is taking care of somebody when they're down and out. Because, when we met, he wasn't down and out. He was making more money than me. But then he got fired for smoking weed, and he got fired from multiple jobs for multiple things. But the last job was because he was smoking weed, and he got caught in his blood test. Like, they did a urine test or whatever. And I was supporting him for many years until I got him a job. And then he still didn't pay rent, and he didn't respect me, and he wasn't nice to me, and he was making my life very difficult. And I didn't know that wasn't normal, because I had never experienced or known a healthy relationship. I had never seen it before, ever. So my mom never had a boyfriend when I was a teenager and in my 20s. She only had clients, and so I had never seen it. My grandma and grandpa did not have a healthy relationship. It was very, very toxic, in fact. My foster parents, they didn't have good relationships at all. There was a lot of violence and screaming and things. And so I saw movies and TV shows, but I never knew I never knew a real life healthy relationship. And TV's like, they just show you so little, So I thought that was just TV. That was make-believe. I thought relationships were supposed to be hard, and I didn't realize that they're not. So now I wish that I knew, that I educated myself, and I knew. I feel I wasted a lot of time, especially because during that time in my relationship, my only relationship of my life, I went raw vegan, and I wanted to start YouTube, and I wanted to start sharing my journey, but I couldn't, because my boyfriend threatened me, and the threats started actually in the very beginning of my raw vegan journey. I said I wanted to go to Ann Wigmore. I wanted to go to the Ann Wigmore Institute in Puerto Rico, and he threatened me because he couldn't go. He didn't have any, I'm confused now, because he actually did have money. He was making more than me, but I don't know. He didn't want to go. And he said, if I get on that plane, our relationship's over. And I really wish that I had gone. I wish that I had gone and I had ended our relationship. But I did not. And I'm mad at myself for that. But I've forgiven myself. Obviously, I needed to go through everything. Obviously, that's implied. Okay, but I'm just urging you to think about, if you could do things differently, what would you have done differently? Even though everything is working out for your highest good, always. But it's interesting to think about. And I'll just share a few more real life things. I haven't thought about this at all. I just press play. I don't think about what I'm going to say. I don't premeditate episodes, but I was just cleaning the kitchen and I was just thinking about it. No, I'm sorry. I was listening to an interview on Soft White Underbelly, which is my favorite podcast. And it was an interview with a prostitute. And he asked her, what would you have done differently? And she said she would have gone to college. And I thought to myself, wow, me too. I wish I would have gone to college. And I love Soft White Underbelly. I love this podcast so much because he just interviews people from all walks of life, mostly drug addicts and prostitutes and people, convicts and people that are kind of outcast in society. And I like hearing their stories because the truth is that, and I said this many times, but if you're a new listener, the truth is that I should have been a statistic. And a lot of people that I grew up with, they're not here anymore. Neither is my sister or my mom. And a lot of the people that I grew up with, they are in jail or they're prostitutes, drug addicts. The kids that go to foster care, they're kind of like forgotten. And they become misfits of society. And, well, my version of being a misfit is being a raw vegan. So I kind of I'm a misfit, obviously, hence the name. But I like to hear the stories of people because I don't see any difference between me and them. And that could have easily been me. Easily. So I am very grateful, obviously, that I made the decisions that I made, even though I have regrets. And I encourage you to just think about it and just think about the things that you would have done differently, and also just to be grateful that you did the things you did. All right, I'm going to go. Somebody's texting me. I'm going to actually go pick up my friend from work. And this is another thing that I wish so bad that I did earlier, which is learn how to drive. I'm just texting her back. Okay, sorry. So I'm just telling her I'll be a few minutes. I wish that I would have learned how to drive, but I'm 38 and I just got my driver's license, and I'm just now practicing driving alone because I had a major fear of driving. But I know everything happened in the divine timing, but I just never thought in a million years that I would drive, because that's like what rich people did. And I come from a very poor family and nobody had a car, and I just never thought that I would need to drive or want to. I was afraid, just like my mom was afraid, my grandma, my great-grandma, all these people in my family, all these women especially, were afraid to drive. And when you're poor, you don't have a car. Like, nobody had a car, especially living in New York City. Nobody has a car there. And it took me 3 years of living in Florida to finally do it. I was so afraid. But it turns out there's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, we did get into a car accident the other day, and I wasn't driving, but that was pretty scary. But it's not hard to drive. I just didn't know how to do it. And that's why I love doing the course that I do, because I teach people that being a raw vegan, it's not hard. You just don't know how to do it. And so if one of your goals is to go raw, I would really, really love to help you. And I have an opportunity for you to work with me and 9 other women, starting my food addiction freedom course tomorrow, June 4th. And if you're interested, I would love to have you join us. You can send me an email. I'll leave my email in the show notes. It's jd@Ms.FitVegan.com. I do this every few weeks. And I have 1 spot left. If you'd like to join us, please definitely send me an email. I'll send you all the details and the application to see if you would be a good fit. It's an amazing journey that we're going to go on for 6 weeks. And it's a place where you can feel safe to share, because you're going to be surrounded by women who have a food addiction and who are actively working to break it. And they all want to be healthy, raw vegans. So you're not going to feel like a weirdo. You're not going to be the only one. You're not going to be asked, where do you get your protein, or isn't that too much sugar? You're going to learn everything there is to know about the diet, about how to do it right, about how simple it is, about the tips and tricks that I've learned and all the mistakes I've made. And I'm just so honored to do it. I literally can't believe that this is my job. And if you'd like to do this too, if you'd like to have your own podcast or your own YouTube or coach women or have books and courses, I can help you do that too. I can help you with anything you need for the next 6 weeks. So if you're interested, DM me. I feel that I have more regrets, but I'll save that for another episode. I got to go pick up my friend. I love you guys. Bye. Thanks for listening.